Welcome to Geordie Lass Doc Sass. One day, a Geordie and a Canadian walk into a bar and decide to start a podcast about relationships, and what a topic that is. No subjects are off limits. Get in touch today with us at geordielass.com or email info@geordielass.com and let us know what you think and what we should talk about. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello and welcome. Hi, everyone. Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, it's all right.
We have a Pooliana today.
I am a little poorly. It's so funny as Sara just says that, I'm trying to suppress a cough and she's sneezing. So how do we know we're in winter? Yeah, we're in winter all right.
I think mine was just comedy timing for effect, or I was coming out in sympathy with you, one of the two.
Oh, that's so lovely. That's so lovely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, the colds. I must have caught something on the plane from Athens, as one does.
I had a friend message me the other day to tell me that she just got a period, and I said, "Oh, that's why I'm comfort eating. Then I'm comfort eating for you. I'm coming out in sympathy."
Oh my God, that's awesome. It's so nice to
I
think.
like I did nothing but eat for like 3 days on the trot, and so she messaged me the next day. She was like, "This is what was wrong with me last night." I was like, "Oh, that makes sense now. I've just been comfort eating for you."
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. There is literally no end of the opportunity to comfort eat, because at any given time around the globe, there are many people having periods. So endless material, basically. Mm-hmm.
Very, very true.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So how are things going other than us just, well, not being sick, other than your comfort sneezes for me, which thank you so much. I feel very loved.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Tippity top, yes. We did some entertaining at the weekend.
Oh, in your house?
People in the house.
In
your
your
house. We had people over for dinner.
Oh.
So it was a great opportunity to get things tidied up, isn't it?
Never as clean as when you need company. Have company over, yeah.
I was like, right, now's my chance to finally get my other half to get some of these shit together, quite literally, and ship it out the door.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we kind of did like a really nice meal, just had good fun, some singing and dancing in the kitchen.
Oh, kitchen party, yes.
So yeah, it was great fun.
Oh.
And it's funny, we both said exactly the same thing afterwards the next day. We said, isn't it really weird when you invite people over, how you see your house through a different set of eyes?
Oh. What did you see of your house with your guests over? What?
Well, I think you just see your house in your home with a new kind of lens, a new kind of set of eyes, and I really liked it. I was like, this is good.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, just a newfound appreciation.
And also reinforcing how right this home is for you, and all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into making this your home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful.
So that was my weekend. It was very nice.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, that's wonderful.
How about you? Are you readjusting back to Canadian life?
I am, and I had to over the weekend go to there's a Middle Eastern supermarket out in Mississauga, which is this large, sprawling metropolis outside of Toronto, and this Middle Eastern supermarket serves everybody, whether they're from the Middle East and Greece and the Mediterranean. And I just got my Greek olives and the feta and some of the, and also because Greek food is also inspired by a lot of Turkish food. So I just felt like so at home. I was like, I'm not ready to cut the umbilical cord of Greece just yet.
Aww.
So I have been solidly eating food that reminds me of that beautiful 5 weeks. And it has been lovely.
Very nice.
Yeah. My body identifies with feta cheese, is starting to grow into a block of feta cheese and olive as we speak. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It makes everything taste amazing, though.
And it's so filling, right? Because, some years back, I was able to sort of reckon with my addiction to carbs and like empty sugar and refined sugars and stuff. And so olive oil and feta and olives and healthy meats, like these are things that, you can feel genetically through the ages that you were sort of meant to eat this kind of food. And so it's helped me to cut any sort of addiction to carbs and stuff. I don't crave for like chips or candy if I'm eating this delicious food. So it just feels so great.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It's good times. Good times. Yeah. Opa, I say.
Nice to feel good.
Yeah. All right, my dear. So I am excited to get to this relationship desk of love, because there's always something juicy in there that I can learn from.
Well, I've got a new term for you this week.
Oh, please go for it.
All right, so today's relationship love desk. This is all about the term gatekeeping in your relationship and how it's eating away at your partnership.
Oh,
So any ideas what the term gatekeeping might mean?
oh my God. Okay. Oh my gosh. I see gatekeeping a lot, but I'm curious to see if I've got the right take on this. It is that you are holding your partner back or certain communication back or oh gosh, I'm bad at articulating. It's basically holding back truth and honesty and real connection and communication by putting artificial gates up, no-go zones, tone sort of, I don't know. I'm all over the place, but I'm excited. I have no idea, Sarah.
I love that explanation. I mean, it's not true, but I love it.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
And I love that you delivered it with such passion as well. And it could absolutely be true. Mm-hmm. So it could be. I could see if you'd said that with some serious conviction, I would have believed you over the article that I've just read. All right. So gatekeeping, what it means is when you expect your partner to help with something around the house or in another area of your life, but then you micromanage the task so intensely that he or she couldn't possibly do it to your standards.
Oh, yes.
So it goes on to talk about some examples. So things like laundry, I mean, that always comes up, doesn't it? It's kind of like a top example. So, you know, do the laundry, but don't necessarily fold things in the right way. Oh God, I've just remembered something that I do in this area. So the emptying of the dishwasher, there's definitely some gatekeeping that goes on about where things should be put because they've got a rightful place, and yet my partner is still to identify what that rightful place is. But anyway, I'm very grateful that he empties the dishwasher and fills it up nonetheless. So it goes on to talk about kind of how, you know, different examples. So maybe kind of like cooking with your partner or any sort of cleaning when it comes to doing things like the Christmas cards. If anybody actually still sends Christmas cards, I don't know.
Some do, yeah.
But all of those kind of like, you know, family activities that you might do, but this kind of micromanaging and being there and hovering and giving instructions from the sidelines. Mm-hmm. I guess driving, it comes up in driving, doesn't it? You get that a lot.
Oh, geez, yes.
So it says that it is bad for your relationship. So when your spouse tries to step in and takes on a greater share of the domestic duties, but only to get reprimanded and corrected, it's demoralising for you both. And they feel like they have been tried in some way and they're then wary to help in the future. So you have to ask yourself, how can I let go and how can I let my other half do things in their own way and accept that they're helping and that this is the right thing to do?
I see this all the time, and I'm also inclined to do it. And this is actually why a lot of women in relationship get caught in this default parenting trap, because they're like, you know, I want help doing this thing. And then their partner, but there's also this feigned ignorance thing that happens on the other side where the partner is like, oh, I just simply do not know how to empty a dishwasher in the right way. Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Even if they're like C-suite in a huge company, they're like, oh, I just do not know. But the default parenting, there's two people to tango on this, and the part of, you know, setting an expectation, setting the what and the how at the same time. And that's why I coach a lot of my folks is like, you can determine the what, but not the how. You can determine the how, but not the what. If you delegate a task, you kind of got to let this person go out and do it. And they may not stylistically do it in the same way as you. And you have to be able to accept that. Otherwise, actually, just like a manager, you're going to end up taking that task back on yourself, being overworked, resentful, and then your either direct reports at work or your partner ends up feeling demoralized, useless, etc., and not empowered, not in their agency.
I think, you know, there's a key thing, isn't there? Like, I remember years ago, somebody gave me some advice at work and they said, if something's done 80% of the way that you would expect it to be done, just accept that and let it go and move on. And it was great advice, and I was kind of managing a team to be able to kind of use that. But the same applies at home, right? So if your partner does something and it's kind of, you know, 70% right, if it's almost there, just let it go. Like life is too short for some of the stuff that we hold on to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I used to be Miss Clipboard. I was there. Have everything had a standard. It had a perfection level to it. And it's just, there's no point. It's not necessary. Let it go. Just breathe. Enjoy life.
Well, and rethink the rules, right? Because like one of the things is if I have set up, I tend to, like if we've moved into a new place together, I'll be the person who just arranges the cupboards. This goes here, that goes there. And then it becomes truth. Like this is the right way to do it and anything else is the wrong way to do that. But if my partner's like, if I left them to their own devices, they may actually come up with a more sensible organizational strategy, right? So if I'm like, oh, it doesn't go there. Well, why can't it go there? You know, why can't we change?
You're getting carried away now, though, Anna.
Oh, what? No, you wouldn't be.
There's obviously a place for everything in the kitchen.
I know, but you can actually change where the cups and the plates go. Like, what if your partner was like,
not now, we've been here for 6 months.
But I think we can rethink it. Oh, it's a death match, Sarah. It's a death match.
It is.
Wouldn't it be great if your partner actually knew where to put stuff outside of the dishwasher, right? And he came up with his own strategy. And you're like, all right, whatever it takes to make you be able to put the dishes away. If it means we have to rearrange things. Oh my gosh, I think you're boiling up. I think there's an aneurysm about to burst in Sarah's brain right now. So yeah, that's a no. Okay, all right, too soon. Too soon.
But what I would say is 70% of the time he gets it right. So it's fine. We're happy. We're content with that. Mm-hmm. We only have to move 30% of the dishes to the right place. It's all good.
Okay.
I'm comfortable. I'm happy with it.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right.
The difference is I'm not micromanaging the situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Food for thought. But this is really interesting. The gatekeeping thing, you're absolutely true. You can just dictate the what, but not the how. Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to work. I'm gathering all these pearls. I feel like Sarah's like leaving gingerbread crumbs for me from an ex relationship. Like, here's how to not fuck it up the next time, Anna. Tip number 372.
You just need to go back and listen to the back catalogue of the podcast.
I know, right? Absolutely.
Before you start any new relationship.
Oh my gosh, totally. Don't leave home without it. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm ready.
There's hours of support right there for you whenever you need it.
And for any of our listeners, we've got a whole treasure trove. We've been recording this podcast for almost 3 years every single week. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
There's just shitloads of, what are we up to? Like episode 139? Is that? No? Yeah. Yeah, something like that. It's ridiculous. It's a lot.
Mid 130s.
Mid 130s, guys. Go back and look at our treasure trove. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of treasure trove, shall we bring out a hot topic?
Oh, yes, let's go. Oh, yes, let's go.
Today's hot topic: how to show vulnerability in your relationship.
Oh my God. Terrifying. Oh, terrifying. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I think you can often get kind of I think fear can kind of step in the way, can't it, of being able to show vulnerability. So we are absolutely terrified of not being accepted by our partner. We're absolutely terrified of saying the wrong thing, of sharing who we are deep down in case actually that person isn't the person you liked and you prefer the other version that I've been presenting myself with for all these years, or weeks, months, however long it is that you've been in your relationship. So to actually get real and share some of your innermost thoughts without, having any sort of fear of recrimination or being made to feel silly or not accepted or not loved or rejected. It's really, really hard to be able to do that. And especially in a new relationship or when you've had a relationship change of some description. So it can be really hard, I think. Or if you've been in a relationship for a long time and you've never ever shared some of these things and kind of go, well, I can't now 16 years on go, right now I'm going to dig out all of these vulnerabilities and share things. So it can feel kind of like almost you're confined and trapped by the story and the image that you've created yourself.
Oh my gosh, that is, what a wonderful way. Like you're standing in your own way and you're being bound by the straitjacket of your own making and sitting there in this, you've got it. And I don't know about you, but like in early relationships, I see it. I can see myself doing things that are unsustainable and not in a way to show my affection for somebody. It's actually to try to prove something of myself or to kind of to feed my own ego. But, you know, let's say I do something that's really, I mean, it's the same as like putting your filters on your selfies on Instagram. Like the mirage will fall. We are not the filtered version of ourselves. Yeah. We are much more flawed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can't have our peacock feathers out day in, day out. Yeah. We're only supposed to be there for a short period of time.
And hopefully they always come, you know, I'm a real believer of whatever we show each other in our first part of a relationship is actually the true us. Some of it is peacocking, but, you know, it's the us that exists without that dust and debris of complacency. And so I really want to endeavor to continue to cultivate that beautiful initial thing that I exist in when I'm in a relationship. I'd like to continue to cultivate that in my partner. But at the same time is not whitewashing the imperfections or the vulnerabilities or the feelings coming up. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm having a tremendous exploration and vulnerability like now. Like I'm if I feel something, say something. Yeah. And it's incredibly terrifying. Yeah. Because I'm a whole bunch more of a pain in the ass than I let on. If I'm really getting vulnerable, I'm a diva. I have petty concerns. I have silly feelings.
You're not, though. This is the whole thing, right? You are who you are, and that's it. So I had a text message conversation with my daughter about food and what food she liked and how she was different to other people. And I was just like, it doesn't matter. Honestly, none of it matters. You are who you are. You like what you like, and that's all that matters. And it's the same in your personality and who you are, your values, and the things that you love, the things that you don't love. We're just being trained all the time to compare ourselves to everything else that's out there. And because we want to somehow feel like we're better than whatever else is available, well, that's just kind of not the way that it should be. We need to appreciate who we are individually and have that self-acceptance to be able to then share some vulnerability and say, actually, this is who I am. We're all flawed in some way. None of us get it right all the time. That's just not humanly possible. But when we can accept who we are as individuals and we accept our partnership and each other, and there's care and compassion and kindness towards each other, then you're in much more of a space where you're able to share some of those kind of, you know, innermost, scariest of thoughts.
Oh gosh, beautifully said. And strive onward. You know, there is a saying that I have heard recently, which I believe is so beautiful, which is, rather than thinking about settling down in a relationship, is striving up, which I think is fantastic. And some feel that trying to be bigger, better every day is the antithesis to just accepting us as we are. But there is a gentle balance between accepting us for who we are, but also gently nudging ourselves and each other to be better every day. That's part of my excitement in my journey moving forward. But totally, we cannot move forward and be better every day without first shedding the shame and guilt of who we actually are. And that's what vulnerability does.
Yeah. And I think there is a balance to be had. You know, there's, at what point are you kind of enough and you don't need to, you know, have that striving for something all of the time? If we're always looking, there's a danger with, you know, with some of that actually we're saying, well, what we've got is never enough. We're never acceptable to each other. I think there's a you want to have an opportunity to grow together and to at least be able to support each other in your relationship and still feel like you've got that connection there. And there will be times when that's waning and you don't really feel that connection, and they're the times to kind of really dig a bit deeper and say, how do I want this to turn out? Do I need to put a bit more effort in to get more out of this relationship? So there will be times naturally where you're going to kind of ebb and flow with each other, and you'll need to, one of you'll have to kind of be putting an extra kind of few percent in the pot to be able to benefit the relationship. I think there is a balance to be had though, because sometimes we need to just be happy with who we are and where we are in. And, you know, I appreciate just some of those smaller moments of joy.
Yeah. My gosh, yes.
It's really hard, isn't it? I mean, we live in this world of development and understanding, and we always say as coaches that we're both the student and the teacher. So we learn things from our clients all the time that show us a different perspective, a different way of looking at something that we maybe wouldn't have done. And you naturally take that to your, into your own personal life and think, well, what does this mean for me? And it can sometimes mean that you're living in this heightened state of awareness that, can sometimes, I think, have a detrimental effect. Sometimes you just need some peace.
Yes.
It's like, give me some peace, please.
Yeah. Yeah, just halt the hamster wheel for just a second. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's so true. So I think that a lot of people have heard about vulnerability because of the Dare Greatly, the work by Brene Brown, and it's some great work. I'm actually interested to look at the flip side of the vulnerability cult craze, which is sometimes there's toxic vulnerability where people are just kind of like TMIing all over the place and not sharing information with the intention of graciousness. It's more sort of throwing stuff onto other people where you're sort of throwing the responsibility of dealing with some heavy emotional shit onto another audience. And so I'm a real fan of being very mindful of vulnerability. And the other thing that I noticed too is that I have always thought that I was vulnerable because I'm an open book. I talk about any detail of my life with great candor, and I've thought, oh, I'm totally vulnerable. That's not vulnerability. That's the vulnerability that I've put in the front room of my existence where it's accessible to anybody. Like if you come into the living room, anybody can traipse on in, sit on my couch, have some tea, right? I'll give it to anybody. But the real vulnerability is like the stuff that I hide in the back of the house, the stuff that the people think I'm vulnerable because I'm sharing a lot, but that's the stuff that I choose to sort of, it's only been recently when I realized that like the fact that I have so much on offer in the front room means that even I am not aware that I'm actually terrified of vulnerability. Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's about authenticity, and it is about kind of what you share and why you're sharing it. And I think that's really important. And if we know that there's stuff that's just buried deep that ain't ever coming out, no matter what, then we're not being vulnerable.
Oh, you're so right. Like if you or anybody else you know tends to like just shock and awe with like scandalous information, that's probably somebody who has deep fears about being vulnerable and they're not sharing the real stuff that actually terrifies them. It's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So what's a step? Like what's one step, let's say in an intimate partnership where you want to show up a bit differently? And hell, maybe it's 25 years into marriage and you're like, I think I want to learn to get vulnerable. What do you do?
I genuinely think the first step is about self-acceptance, because until you can really kind of work on some of that, and it, maybe it goes hand in hand with some sharing at the same time, we have to really then examine what is it that I'm afraid of by sharing this that I think is going to happen. And then, call that out a bit. Well, how true is it? Do I really, is this really going to happen? And I think the other challenge that I often think about is if your partner doesn't react in the way that you want them to react, and that kind of stays the same over time, is that really the right person for you? Because if being able to share openly and honestly and have some support and the right levels of connection with your partner or something that's key for you and of great value and importance for you, then are you with the right person if you can't share openly, and for them to give you the time and listen to what you've got to say. And I think on the flip side as well, what I'd say is it's often not about the person that's listening who's hearing this. That can be really, really tough for them, especially if you've been, married or in a relationship for some time, and then suddenly you find out about something about your partner, which is quite deep and emotional and, is tough. Then you can often kind of, the flip side of that as the partner is you feel like inadequate. You feel like, actually, why didn't I know this?
Yeah.
Why haven't you shared this before? And what does that say about me? So we instantly turn on to kind of, then my feelings, as opposed to just allowing the space to sit and listen and allow your partner to feel heard, because we're instantly going to kind of blame. Well, why haven't you told me that? What's wrong with me that you didn't so we'll get kind of that retaliation come up. And the other thing that we get is fixing. So now that you've told me this, I need to do something about it. That's not actually the case. A lot of the time it's just, I wanted to lighten my load and share this with you, but also to give you some appreciation about what's been going on for me and why I'm maybe kind of feeling or behaving in a certain way, because I've had these thoughts or feelings that have been coming up for me and I've been trying to make sense of that.
Totally. I think it's really natural for the partner who is hearing this vulnerability for the first time to get super defensive, go into fix mode, go into like interrogation mode, etc.
Yeah.
I don't fault that partner, because actually usually I'm working with a partner who is on that vulnerability journey, so I can't control how their partner reacts. But what I can do is arm my client with something that helps respond to their partner's misgivings. Something like, I'm sorry I never shared this with you. I didn't even know it myself.
Yeah.
But I'm sharing it with you now, and hopefully we can sort of, moving forward, take this into sort of, grow our relationship, get a lot closer, gain an understanding of each other. It's this forward focus, because again, I usually talk about like the statute of limitations. When we're doing this work, anything that happened more than a few months ago is off the table. Not to be, we can't sift through the mountain of the past. We have to work in the present. So I'm sorry I never told you about that before. I get that you're upset about that. I'd love to work with you moving forward now that I'm able to be honest with myself and now with you.
Yeah. The way that we communicate with each other is, when I hear you saying that, it's almost you're giving your partner some cue cards about how I want you to respond back to me. So the way that we communicate will help us to help our partners to respond in the right way. So if we kind of say things in a gentle manner, if we open up the conversation in the right way, we're inviting our partner to respond back in a gentle manner.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So 2023, is it the year for vulnerability? Or not for vulnerability, for having this messy sort of, not messy dive into, but like I'm thinking about like diving around in the muck, of getting dirty, of getting...
Are you mud wrestling?
Mud wrestling in the pit of vulnerability. Is 2023 the year? Exactly. Mud wrestling. And not like the sexy kind with like the hot chicks in bikinis. I'm talking about like really dirty ugly mud wrestling. Yeah.
All right. Now you put that thought in my head, Anna.
Yeah, exactly. Can't unsee that, basically.
I think the key thing as well is, there's so much talk about kind of how we need to all be more open and talk about our feelings and, be vulnerable and really kind of share more of who we are. Do things when you're ready, do them in your time, do them at your pace. Don't be dictated by kind of everyone else in the world. So it's interesting, I was on a call the other day with a client and her partner is being coached by somebody else. And at the end she kind of said, I know that this might come up in his session, and so I guess we'll have to see what his coach says. And I said, you do realise the coaches aren't in charge.
Oh, beautiful.
This is your life. You're in charge. We're just here to try and help you make sense of some of the things that you don't feel clear about. But you guys are in charge. This is your relationship. So same thing goes for, opening up, sharing vulnerabilities. Be who you want to be.
Oh, yes. Oh gosh, yes. That's a wonderful way to gently shed, shine the mirror back at your client. What a line. Good for you.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Shall we do a question?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So today's question. It's a slightly lengthy one today, my love. So listening ears at the ready.
Listening ears at the ready.
Okay. Help me out. I've started seeing somebody, but my guard is still up. I've been hurt too many times in the past. He's been in the army and has PTSD and ADHD. He's a lovely guy so far and seems really genuine. He's kind and loving, but I'm scared. Should I give him a chance? I feel like I'm being very judgmental, and I don't mean to be, but can I be happy with him?
Oh, interesting. Okay. What's interesting is this question is actually purposefully diverting around the actual question, which is curious because what I find vague is, are they just assuming that somebody who has served military service, maybe had some traumatic experiences, has diagnoses of ADHD and PTSD, is this just somebody she's not really explored yet, but is curious, like, will those diagnoses and that life experience be safe for me in a relationship? Or has she already explored and experienced some of the untoward consequences, and a lot of them are anger? What I'm hearing, she's talking about anger. She's talking about anger outbursts and potentially violence is what I'm hearing in this. But I can't get the sense, has he demonstrated anger yet? Or has she even dipped a toe into this relationship? That's my curiosity. What's coming up for you?
Well, I didn't pick up what you've picked up. So what I hear is very much about I think the PTSD and the ADHD and the army, that is part of the equation. But it keeps skirting around and coming back to the same thing about this person's been hurt in the past. Oh. And therefore is very guarded. Should I do it? Okay. So for me, this person is really, really doubtful. But I think this person would be doubtful regardless. So if the potential future boyfriend didn't have any of those things, but then would there be another kind of 2 or 3 examples of why maybe this relationship isn't right? Would anybody be right?
Okay.
Or would this still be that same position? They mentioned that they've been hurt, they've got their guard up. Would this still feel exactly the same way, regardless of, whether it was Prince Charming knocking on the door?
Right. Or maybe somebody who works in finance, they're like, oh, finance bros are real dicks. Or somebody who has children. And they're like, well, it's going to be a certain way. I'm terrified to, okay, all right, okay.
So I think there's fear no matter what the situation. And that's where I would start.
Ah, okay. So, but to be fair, realistically speaking, when folks have gone through trauma, and unless they are doing some very, very hard work on themselves, it has all the recipe ingredients to bring things into relationship, like anger outbursts, flashbacks, etc. So to be honest, like, it's not far off to say, like, do I need to be worried here? But what becomes a red flag versus like what? This is like green, yellow, red flags. Like, what's a red flag versus what's a yellow flag that if we were to create boundaries and work on our communication, that we can actually overcome this. So how would you help this person to be able to not be led by fear, but use her fear in a more constructive way to help her discern relationships at the beginning and moving through?
I think it's really about understanding, isn't it? So it's trying to understand what's behind that fear. And I think the other reality that happens in all relationships, doesn't matter kind of how secure you feel or not or insecure you feel, we have no guarantees, right? We've got nothing. So, anything could happen tomorrow. None of us know what's around the corner. Our partners could change their mind tomorrow and just wake up and think, actually, this isn't for me. You hear of various different stories of people who are just like, I'm done. So, and then also you've got the uncertainty of illness, of changes in life circumstances, all kinds of things. So we don't know what is in the future. So there is a certain degree of, if you could guarantee that this relationship was going to work out, how would you feel about this person then?
Interesting. Okay.
And how does that change your perception about the relationship? I think there's also the angle which I think you were kind of touching on there is, what do I learn about this fear and the things that I'm terrified of, and how do I put things in place to try and guard against that, to try and guard against them happening? So whether it's, fear of certain behaviour or certain things happening, then, okay, how do we be quite honest and upfront from the start and say, these are some of my non-negotiables. These are the things that I absolutely won't tolerate and, won't be happy with. And then be able to have those firm boundaries in place.
And boundaries.
Yeah.
What I see is that people have fear, and I know this too. I have fear about whether to completely hold myself back from even stepping a foot into the relationship, or whether I lose myself entirely. And those two options, the third option is I step into the relationship, but I'm maintaining and creating boundaries, healthy boundaries, each and every step along the way. Just because I decide to try a relationship out does not mean that I then become at the mercy of the whims of whatever that relationship is that I'm an active participant in creating the boundaries. And for somebody like myself who didn't have boundaries, and you have said that boundaries are a later in life discovery for you as well, is like,
yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
That is your safety net. That's your safety net walking through anything in life, is ongoing dynamic assessment and, adjustment of your boundaries.
Yeah. Well, it's a path to create the life that you want.
Totally. Versus living at the mercy of what other people would have for you and your life based on their opinions. And yeah. So this person is really wanting a sense of control then, power. Not power in a bad way. I'm talking about agency. Actually, agency is a better term for her to be able to decide on relationships and maybe to follow her heart. Like, you can tell her heart she wants to explore something.
Yeah. And it's then looking at what is it that's holding me back.
Yeah, no, it's definitely.
And if that wasn't a thing, would I jump in with both feet?
That is a fantastic way to start. Yeah. Yeah, it's a fantastic way. It's so hard. This paralyzes so many people because, there's people who are holding themselves back from these beautiful experiences, not even allowing themselves to explore. And then the other flip side are people who are just knee deep, neck deep, and just total dysfunction because there's no boundaries. And maybe some of those risks are coming into play, right? But they have no way to be able to, check those and create safety for themselves in these situations. Yeah.
I think going back to what you said at the start as well, exploring, where is she in the case of exploration? Where are they in terms of, working together? I think you have to give people a bit of a fair shot to be able to tackle some of these things, because when we work on those challenges in a relationship, they're the things that bring us closer together. And there's no saying that you're not going to hit a challenge, in your life and then want the support back in return. And you've kind of been able to show each other the way there and to lay a path, which is one of support and consideration and being there for each other no matter what.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good point. I like that. Yes. Uh-huh. As somebody who's fearful, avoidant myself, this really speaks to me. Well,
it's terrifying, right? Because we all want a sure thing. We want a safe bet. We want a crystal ball that says, tell me everything's going to be all right. And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If somebody was offering that, why wouldn't you take it?
Yeah, that's true. But that's not how life works. But that's a beautiful thing. The thing is that the outcome is neither right nor wrong. Because all we're doing in life is just walking through lessons. That's all from the beginning to the very end. We're just learning more, and we don't know when the end is. So, so why not dive in with your safety nets, creating safety for yourself, learning about yourself, learning about how you interact in the world and with other people, and learning more about love and relationship and communication. Why not dive in? Don't stay on the sidelines just because of fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's like me with, and I haven't paddled in the winter here in Toronto because I've been in Athens, and then now I'm like, I might go out next week. So like the water's pretty frigid. There's ice on the shores, right? And if I'm paddling, and I could certainly fall in. So I could be scared about falling in, but I am suited up in my dry suit and my life jacket and all my things, right? And I'm not very far from shore, and I have my contingency if I do fall in. So I'm kind of doing something risky. Some would say that's insane, but
I'm definitely saying insane.
You're not alone. But I'm doing something that I love, and I'm doing something that I would be missing out on if I weren't doing it. If just fear held me literally on the shoreline, I would have a less rich life. So I put on all my safety equipment. There's always going to be a little bit of risk. And I go in and I have a beautiful day, and I feel better about my life. So everything relates back to lessons learned on my paddleboard.
Well, make sure you do stay safe, because it's a boring conversation without you, my love.
Oh my gosh, Sarah. Oh, the love. Oh, thank you for your appreciation. Oh my gosh. Well, I think I'm going to have to keep coughing. I've been suppressing. I've been wanting to cough up a lung.
Oh.
But our podcast is so important that it has kept my bronchitis at bay. So I am appreciative.
Well, lots of nice honey and hot lemon water, things like that.
Yes. Oh, actually, I'm going to make some tea right now. That's a great thought.
Yeah.
And it's dinner time for you.
Throat.
Oh, yes,
it is dinner time for me.
Time. Any leftovers from the weekend?
I'm going to do a nice pasta dish with some leftover green vegetables.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yum, yum, yum.
Your house smells terrific in my mind.
There's some sort of national food shortage going on right now because we did go to the supermarket very late yesterday to try and get some food, and they had nothing on the shelves. And it was then I was super grateful that I am such a creative cook and could manage to rustle up some food for us all. So we didn't starve. You'll be pleased to hear.
I'm very glad. I'm very glad.
Yeah.
You're nothing if not resourceful.
This is very true.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty.
All right.
Oh, I feel like you definitely need to go and rest up, my love.
I'm going to.
Okay. All right.
TLC and snuggle with my cat.
Yes.
All right.
Till next time. So that's it for another week of Geordie Lass Doc Sass. We hope you've enjoyed listening as much as we've enjoyed chatting. Get in touch and share your questions for relationship remedies and any hot topics you want us to cover. If you need help navigating all things relationships, Anna and Sara are available for one-on-one coaching support. Email info@geordielass.com. Please remember to like, share, subscribe if you've enjoyed listening. And if you've not, how on earth have you made it this far? I promise we'll try harder next time.